Yeah.
Hey, Jocky, we are live. Thanks for joining me. I mean, we're not live, we're recording now, so thanks for joining. How's things?
Very good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you, mate. How's the COVID-19 impacted things up there?
Not really. It's got really nice and calm. Apart from nice flyable days where we can't go out. Obviously, the first few weeks have been brilliant. I mean, just
Yeah.
relaxing like a holiday, and it's taken us about till now to start wanting to get back to work.
I mean, I'm still not in a position where I want to get back to work. Definitely, this is it gives me a lot of time to do things like this. And if I
Yeah,
could have it my way, this would be what I did all the time, rather than going to work and teaching people how to fight and doing building work. This would be it for me.
yeah, me too. I mean, I'm definitely changing gear. Definitely. I mean, it's like retirement, and it feels brilliant. I've made some furniture, I've painted my house, we've fixed stuff, and it's just been brilliant. I think a lot of people, when they go back, there'll be a lot of changes with people's desire for quality of life.
Yeah, I agree. I said to my brother the other day, I think I'll be more up for doing if the weather's nice now. Sometimes I miss good flying days, but I said to him, I think now I'll miss work and go on good flying days. And if it rains consecutively for 7 days, I'll happily work a Sunday if need
Yeah,
be. But I think it's just time to make a change rather than wait to get to 60 before you can start to live this lifestyle.
yeah. I mean, I always said I retired. Well, as soon as I started flying, I basically retired. I put it the other way around. Um, so, this transition is so easier for me, but it's just so relaxing and so nice just to not be stressed.
Yeah, I bet tourism's taken a massive hit up there though, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And as with everything else, it has taken a big hit. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the moment, what's surreal is we're going around from our house because we live in Keswick, right on the Derwent Water. So our part of our exercise is, let's say, running around the lake. Catherine and I went running around the lake, and this is a beauty spot, and we're on our own, and
Yeah.
you see hundreds of people, and there's no one, which is nice and it's great. But I really feel for the people that haven't got that. They're not fortunate enough to live somewhere beautiful. Then the people in the towns and cities that really are stuck and have to, they have a right to go and exercise, and they're with lots of other people doing it. I really feel for them, really.
Yeah, I agree. Like, a lot of people are critical on Facebook and stuff of people going out, and I said to them, like, you forget that there's a mass portion of the population live in flats or something and don't even have a garden.
I know.
So
Yeah,
people like that, you have to
for
start.
them.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But I mean, it's one of them. It's temporary, we have to just ride it out for now. And of all the things, it could have been worse. It could have been a lot worse. We've got to stay inside and not go to work and get paid to do it. That sounds awful.
Do you know that lovely video that went out, the one, the British one, where it says, I can't know, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to swear on this.
Yeah, you can swear, mate. Yeah.
The video where it says "fuck all." Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have, mate. Yeah, it's
Well, that was a brilliant one. Absolutely brilliant.
social media has become a lot more. It's one of those things. It's got absolutely horrendous, and sometimes you can't. Like, I read all this 5G conspiracy stuff that pops up on my thing, and I'm like, and then all of a sudden, though, you get some people being so creative. One thing gets said, like the Trump with the disinfectant, the memes that come out in 5 minutes. Yeah.
It's shown how good the British sense of humour is. Everyone's sharing jokes. It's just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. It has been
bad things always, and there's a lot of good that's come out of this.
Yeah, I think when you look at it from on a societal level and a person-to-person level, I think there's a lot of good have come out of it. People are spending a lot more time checking up on people, okay, remotely and via social media maybe, or maybe via text, but people are communicating a lot more rather than going to work for 8-9 hours a day and not having the time or effort to speak to people. I think but the benefits are there.
Yeah, I think this is the world rebooting itself.
Yeah, there we go. That's what it is. it was the quick Control-Alt-Delete to Task Manager.
That's been working. Just pull the plug out.
Wait 30 seconds. So mate, yeah, what you I got you on. People obviously know you. for paragliding. One of the first people's names I learned in paragliding was obviously Jocky Sanderson, and that's because of your DVDs and videos and stuff. And I remember Tim Carr, before I'd even flown, Tim Carr put on a VHS tape, I think it was, of Security in Flight or something like that. It was one of them, but and I watched it. I was like, wow! And you were like one of the first names that that came with paragliding, but you became sort of like a bit synonymous with safety and how to fly paragliders properly. So let's fuck that off a minute. Right. What I want to know is where it started for you. How did you fall in love with it? What got you going? Where did this all come from?
The first flight I ever did was I told Ed this, but the first I was getting into hang gliding, and my sister was teaching it down in Brighton, and she was going out with Ed, who had hang gliding school. And I just came out of outdoor pursuits instructing, and I just came back from Scotland, and I did a hang gliding course, and way in the early days, 1986, 87, and then I really loved it. I got really into hang gliding, and then it was my 21st birthday, and all my family, you know, they're all cousins. We had a hotel small hotel in Borrowdale in the Lake District. And everyone piled in, and it was a big do because it was my 21st and my dad's 50th on the same day. So we had this big party, and I thought, great, you know, everyone's going to have a whip round there. So they did. They all had a whip round, and they got me this present. I thought, oh my God, maybe it's a hang glider. You never know. And I opened it, and it was a pink bag, little pink bag. I was like, well, maybe it's the harness. Maybe it's a hang gliding harness. And I opened it, and it was a paraglider. I thought, what's that? You know, it's a paraglider. And Ed, he said, oh, this has just come into the country. And it came in through Sky Systems, Michel Carnet. And just come into the country, and it was an Airman RC9, so it had 9 cells, which were massive. And he said, he'll love this because it's paragliding. He could do it from a hill, and he could walk up, you know. And I was like, what? But I'm a hang glider pilot. You know, I've never seen one of these.
Yeah.
So I had to sort of smile and say thank you very much, and everyone was like, yeah. So we went outside to fly it. It was bloody windy, and because we were sort of hang gliders, and he was a hang glider, he didn't know anything about it, and so I said, how'd you fly it? How'd you launch it? He said, so just open up. He said, you grab these things, the risers, and you pull them, and it'll go up, it'll inflate, and then just run. I was like, okay, cool. And how'd you stop it? He said, there's some brake there. These toggles here, you pull those, and if you want to stop, you just pull them right down. I was like, excellent, okay. So it was a really windy day. We had this because I had a climbing centre then, but this massive long abseil rope, which is about sort of good 200 foot, because we used to go in a Hodge Close quarry. So they tied me onto the end of it, illegal, don't do that. And they all went to the other end. And I was like, okay, cool, here we go. So I ran forwards, and it was about 20 miles an hour wind, more. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I went shooting up into the air. And I could see all my friends holding up the other end, falling off the rope. They couldn't hold on. And I was going up and backwards. I was saying, oh, crappy neck. So I thought, right, what do I do now? And I saw that I had a rope attached to me. My brother's spinning off the end of it because he wrapped himself round. And I was the rope was dragging backwards over fences and things like that towards the hotel, towards the building. So, oh God, I'm going to either get the rope caught or I'm going to crash into that. So I thought I better get down. So I didn't know how to get down with a hang glider. Just pull the bar in and down you go. I was like, wow. I had both brakes on. So I pulled both brakes on and fully stalled it. Thought I don't like that. So I let go of them and swung. And swung through and hit a dry stone wall and landed. That was my first flight.
So on your first flight,
my life to making flight safety.
In your first flight, you got signed off for foot launch, toe launch, SIV.
I mean, yeah.
That is pretty good going, mate, I have to say.
But after that, I got I really started getting into it, obviously. And Ed was completely right. It did complement the Lake District of mountains because I could fly, walk up a hill. And nowadays, everything's gone back to what it was at the beginning. So lightweight kit, small harnesses, things like that, And I remember I used to go up these, Eagle Crag and big mountains and fly off. And I remember being terrified looking at the thin lines, thinking, what am I doing? And I always, when I landed, I used to clump them up and look at it and say, well, look, that's bigger than a climbing rope, and I'm happy to hang on that. Yeah. But as soon as you flew and you were high, you thought,
so there was there wasn't really anyone, there's no one around you doing paragliding. You didn't really know anything about it. You literally, it was a baptism of fire, and running into a dry stone wall on your first flight was what really, this is for me.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I got dragged over it backwards in the wind. So I took the wall out and I was lying there laughing at the other side of it. My sister came out and said, you're right, because she was part of this present. And she was like, oh my God, I've just killed him. And that was it. I loved it. And the funny is, after that, we went training everywhere, and I went flying everywhere. And I remember being dragged. It was a windy day, and we thought, let's not do the towing thing anymore. Let's just do ground handling. And but with hang gliders, you could tether quite easily in the wind, and you hold the ropes, hold the side, and you just go up and just gently get a feel for it. But with paragliders, they don't have the airspeed, so we pull it up and again get dragged. And I remember getting dragged through all the cow pats. And there's flying up, and my brother's girlfriend was screaming at the side, and we were trying to pull it in. We couldn't get it in, and she was screaming as well. And we were just, and I looked up and she was holding it open. I said, Rachel, just let go, let go. She let go. Oh.
So how long did you stick with that paraglider for?
Oh God, I did my first hour on it, and that was at Hay Bluff.
Yeah.
And it was painful. It was freezing, and it was the seat was it's not a plank. We didn't have a plank. Troll made the first plank seat. So you're strapped in it, so you're hanging there.
Yeah.
And an hour. I had to do an hour. I couldn't feel my legs afterwards or my hands, and I was soaring on Hay Bluff. I couldn't believe it. Up and down, and the performance wasn't that great. But yeah, that was. And I kept that for quite a long time. It was red, white, and pink.
It sounds attractive.
Yeah, and Jin, that was when he was a student. I'm pretty sure it was when he was studying marine design, but he made that Airman, and now he's Jin.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. Like, just from that beginning, that tiny little, like, almost sounds like a prototype wing, makes that wing, and then now he's one of the biggest producers of wings and manufacturers of wings in the world.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Jin and I have been together throughout both of our sort of careers, which is great.
Yeah, it's awesome. So then from there, how long, what's the next step? As in, was it cross country came shortly after, or
no?
How did it progress?
We did, because I got my instructor's license with the BHPA quite because I was an instructor with outdoor pursuits and stuff like that. Plus, I was hang gliding, and in the early days, the paragliders didn't really know much about soaring and stuff like that. So it was a good time to begin. It was a good time to be there because it was a very inspirational learning experience. And so we took a lot from the hang gliders. I mean, I remember during our assessment, it was down at Dover's Dyke actually. Dave Ward Smith, myself, we got assessed by Bernard Kane, a great guy who was the head of the safety training committee. And after the assessment, we taught them how to soar. So that's how early it was. And these are all coming from towing, from winching. So it's great times. And from there, Walter Newmark was the old boy of paragliding. And he always said, because they used to tow with rounds and things like that. And he said one day, because he was a sailplane pilot, he said one day these are going to fly out of the airfield, catch a thermal, and fly miles. And everyone laughed at him. And because we started doing cross country, he sort of took us under his wing. And he was inspirational in the beginning in sort of pushing us, making us fly cross country and encouraging it. And yeah, we did a lot. And And then we went to the Worlds in 1990. First time I ever went to Europe. Oh my God. First time I saw Annecy, I shat myself. I looked at the Dons. Oh my God, we're flying off that. I was like, yeah. And we flew up to it. We were on Fallock Athletes, and which were revolutionary at the time because they had plastic sticks in the leading edge to hold it all open, and that was shark nose technology then. And people used to, when they collapse, all the plastic gets caught and you're screwed and all that sort of malarkey. So yeah, it was good fun. And the Alps, that was an eye opener. 1990 Worlds, I think it was.
So what you were
29 Worlds.
So you were doing in the UK. What sort of distances would you be flying if you were in back then, like 89, 90? What sort of distances would you be flying?
I remember doing the British Nationals, flying off Merthyr Tydfil, and I landed 14 Ks out, feeling pretty chuffed with myself.
Yeah.
I got in the van, and I was thinking, I must be about second, maybe third. I'm not sure because that's about it. And I got a lift with Mike Millward, and I remember he used to always laugh at my face because I was like, I thought he'd only done about 3K, and he said, no, I'd done about 20. I got to maybe he got to Krakow, I'm not sure, but I suddenly realised, shit, he's beaten me. So 20 Ks was what it was those days.
20K. And then, so what sort of distances would you be doing when you go to the Worlds in Annecy?
Oh, right. In the Worlds, well, we did training camp. We did it with Thierry Barbu in Annecy. And we actually trained with the French team, which was really fun. But and that was young Sébastien Bourquin and Richard Galland, all these big names now, designers. But in the Curson, we had 35, 40K tasks, stuff like that. It wasn't mega.
But comparatively, you're talking like double to 3 times the distance you're used to in the UK still. So,
yeah.
Yeah, so Europe was still way in advance in experience, XC and stuff, distance, yeah.
The big distances were done, well, Michel Carnet and the guys at SkySys were doing really well because they had the south. It's just like now, really. You've got the south, better weather conditions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they were doing good stuff. And then when the first flights to the Isle of Wight, things like that. And a lot of it those days was convergence flying, sea breeze convergence. So the dike, get up in the convergence, go along the wind, and not much going, north-south, things like that. And then it got more and more with people doing more and more things, Richard Carter and stuff like that.
Amazing. Like those days, like I'm always like, I love the fact that I'm in paragliding where I am and I'm flying at Enzo and it's brilliant. But part of me, like, I'm devastated I've missed those bits. I'm too young to, like, those bits sound amazing where nobody has a clue. You're figuring things out. They sound they sound terrifying.
Yeah.
And it's no wonder you started to pursue safety. What's that?
I've still got some gliders if you want to fly them.
I don't. Oh, I'm happy. They sound more like my base jumping rig than they do a paraglider.
Oh yeah, that one went. Sadly, the Airman went. But, I mean, the material was incredible. It probably would still be all right now. They're heavy. But yeah, good. I mean, yeah, the evolution of gliders is immense from then to now. It's immense, and the learning curve we went through in the bad days. They were bad, but generally it's good. It's nice now. It's nice to see now such beautiful wings that look terrifying but perform so well, thanks to the pilot's skill and also the design of the wing. It's incredible. When I was at the Worlds with the British team in Kruševo in Macedonia, I was so impressed at how close the pilots were flying together, how good they were flying, and how stable the wings were. But it's just like a swan. You see the elegance, but you can see they're flapping underneath. And the pilots, they're doing all this whilst flying.
Unless you're Guy Anderson. Guy Anderson's the only man I know who he could do anything he wants whilst flying. He could be doing a crossword. He hardly moves his hands in thermals. You see people on Enzos and Gins and they're like, and then guys just like that. Like Russ said when I did this with Russ the other week, he said I've regularly seen guys stop for a cup of tea halfway through a task and stuff just because he just literally sat there. Incredible. But even, I mean, my first wing was a Nova Mambu, and that was my first wing. It shouldn't have been my first wing, obviously. It was my first ever wing, and I look at that. I got it out the other day to look at it, and I was like, what on earth is this? And that's new technology compared to the stuff you were messing around with.
Yeah.
So you're what, 21, 22, around that sort of time?
When I started?
Yeah.
Yeah, 21.
What else were you doing? What else was going on in your life around that sort of time? Or was it literally... You were outdoor pursuits guy, right?
We started... I used to do outdoor pursuits with John Ridgway's up in Scotland, and survival training and things like that, canoeing, sailing, climbing. And so when we came, we started my parents bought a little hotel in Borrowdale, and I came to help them because when I left school, I was a runner in a restaurant. So I sort of learned the sort of restaurant trade and waiting trade. So we went down to all work together. And then as soon as it was established, I set up an outdoor school then when I was about 20, teaching just climbing, canoeing, sailing, all that sort of stuff to schools and groups and management training. And then obviously when we started paragliding, I started teaching that. And then, hey, presto, the rest is history.
Yeah, and then, so you were in from there, from that age. That was it. You were in it. That was like, well, I'm doing my outdoor pursuits anyway. Now you chuck the paragliding in, and literally, you're from the moment you're sort of an adult and doing adult life. That was you paragliding.
That's it. Yeah. So we started paragliding. It took over from the outdoor stuff. We still did it. We still had our company, Eagle Quest. We still did outdoor training, but I sort of went more and more paragliding, which is great. And it took me around. It takes me around the world, which is fantastic. But there was a period, when my kids were growing up, I want to spend more time with them. So we set up a summer camp for kids, which the whole plan was to get local farming kids to do outdoor pursuits and to understand why visitors do it to the Lake District, why they come, and to understand it, and also to get other kids from everywhere so that you get this lovely melting pot of cultures and people and kids. Kids are brilliant. So we did that for almost 10 years every summer camp. And that was great because it's nice change. You don't always paraglide. And to sort of think, I'm having a break from paragliding, I'm doing this, was great as well. So I prefer contrast. I like change. I can't do the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't teach SIV all the time, but if I have a break, I come back to it energized and enthusiastic. Whereas if I did it the same location, the same day, I would just get... the color would drain from me and I would just lose. So I think the reason I've been here for so long, I suppose, is because I keep changing, different interests, and it just keeps that energy going, really.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. Even though I teach obviously MMA a lot and like 3 days a week or something. But if I want to have time off, I can. And I think that's throughout my MMA career, I was so dedicated as an athlete. But then I'd find paragliding. Next minute, I wouldn't train for like 3 months. I'd just be off paragliding. So that's why other people were becoming world champions. And they're like, what have you done, Wes? I was like, I flew 45K today on my second ever. I was just things. When things get too all-encompassing for me, the next thing that sparks my enthusiasm, I'm gone. I'm all into that then. So,
well, that's your character, isn't it? Full on, foot to the floor.
That's me, mate. I put that down to brain damage for being hit in the head too much. It's got to have some sort of impact. Getting hit this much, it's got to make you a little bit compulsive, I should imagine.
Do you think, because you've applied, when you learn, you've applied your MMA stuff to paragliding, because I noticed when I met you, you had that positive attitude, that focus, that learn from the people that know what they're talking about, that and you take that from what you've learned in fighting and techniques and things like that, and you can apply it to anything, and you can tell the people that have come from a dedicated sport like that understand, right, okay, I know where to go to get my information, and the dedication you put in. It's great to see. Your rise is quite meteoric in flying, isn't it?
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's nice for you to say. Thanks very much. I just did from my sport particularly, if you don't learn that way, you get punched and kicked in the face. So when I first started doing MMA, there wasn't really any strict MMA people. It was so new. So you find the best in each attribute and you try to put it together. And sometimes you realise, actually, this ain't the best. And you realise that because people punch you. So when you come to something like paragliding or base jumping, in my head, it was always been like, also, some people are just happy to get a paraglider and fly, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's superb. It's such an amazing sport. That's the biggest part of the sport is the people who do that. But for me, I knew this is like, I'm obsessed with this. That I never knew that there would be something that I could do with my life after fighting. But when I started paragliding, I thought, oh, I could competitively do this. This just gets me. This really gets me. So then I just decided, right, you find the best people, you talk to them, you ask the stupid questions, and you learn. And then for SIV purposes, I went with everyone who does SIV. I came to you. I went to Flyo. Because you go and you just immerse yourself, and hopefully that reflects itself in results. Then so that's how I try to approach things. Which other people don't do that, and that's fine. But I think especially like the consequences in fighting, I get punched in the face. The consequences in paragliding can be much worse.
Yeah. And do you find that since you found a paraglide, which is quite a sort of laid back, chilled out pursuit, has your approach to fighting changed? Have you become, or can you still find the anger and the power in you?
Oh yeah, no, that's always there. That's I say the way that I fight, I try and be quite cerebral when I fight. I try and I wouldn't say I'm hard. Lots of people who don't fight, lots of people who do fight are like, oh yeah, Wes is hard. But I know guys who are like, you punch them in the face, the whole game plan's out the way, and they want to stand and have a war with you. Now, before I go into the fight, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to stand, I'm going to trade. Let's fight. And then someone hits me, and I start going technical and take them down and get into positions where I'm not getting hurt anymore. I try and make I try and be as cerebral as possible. So that bit is still inside me, and I notice when I paraglide, sometimes I'll be flying for 3-4 hours, and I'm like missing. I'm on a glide, and I'm thinking, oh fuck. Well, if I don't find anything else now, that's it, I guess. And then I start getting lower. I'm like, come on, find something. And then that bit clicks in. I'm like, work. Come on, where is something? What are the birds doing? What's the sky doing? Look at the trees. Come on, something's going on. And I think that's the competitive side that I've drawn from MMA.
Definitely.
That I try and apply to there. But when it comes to paragliding back into MMA, I think it's just been so long since I've been doing MMA. The transition the other way is not so big, but when I put it into base jumping, when I base jump, paragliding helps me a lot with base jumping because I analyze the risk a lot better. I feel I analyze the risk a lot better. Where a lot of base jumping, you can get drawn into the moment and just go for something. And I think paragliding, even when it's not a dangerous thing, even when you're just on a cross country flight and I'm with Wayne Seeley and Graham Steele or someone, and they do something and I go to make my own decision and I'm like, what are you doing? Look, those guys follow it, and you go and you be sensible, and even that sort of transitions over with base jumping and stuff because you think
definitely.
You make your decision, that's it, I'm jumping, and then that little thing in the back of your head goes, is that the best decision? A second, analyze everything. So I think it has helped in that respect.
Who was the guy? Was it Mark? I can't remember his name. That wrote Ground Rush. Did you ever read that? He used to.
I have read it.
I remember he said a brilliant line. He said, "I stand at the end of the edge, and I tell myself the necessary lies."
Yeah, that is exactly it.
That is a great sort of line. You sort of think, well, we'll be all right. Well, the wind's not so bad, and it's not that steep.
Exactly. That you tell yourself the necessary lies. That's the perfect line, definitely.
Yeah, I always remember that from that book. Good book. Good book.
Yeah. So then now you're in the world. You're a competition pilot. Would you consider yourself? That's it. I'm a competition pilot at 22 or whatever. You're doing the worlds. Would you have said I'm a comp pilot, or are you still just a paraglider pilot who's doing some comps?
I was very lucky because at the beginning we got paid, and so we got paid if we were sponsored. So I was with over several years with Nova, with Gin, and Firebird at the beginning. And so you would get paid. It was a job to compete. So we had probably the best period. So you'd have a season. It was like Formula One when PwC was first created. There was a circuit, not just Worlds, Europeans, Nationals, and then little other national events. Then the PwC came, where there was a 6-comp circuit around the world. That was like Formula One. You'd literally have a team, and you'd go around the world as that team, and that was great fun. And that was mainly competition flying with development, glider development, with courses that paid for that lifestyle. And there was a point which I left the school here and did it professionally, I suppose. Didn't have a house, didn't live anywhere, and just moved from comp to comp to comp. And yeah, that's quite good. It's good when you're that age.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. I was just sat there and I was like, don't stop talking. All my fantasies just drooling as you were describing it.
We had, it was, you'd pinch yourself how lucky you were. You'd pinch yourself because you think, I mean, we'd do this comp in, and that was the days before EasyJet, before flights as such. I mean, there were flights, but not, budget airlines. And so you'd finish a comp in, let's say, Italy, or no, you'd be in Switzerland, and you'd say to everyone, right, well, the next comp's in Piedrahita in Spain, so next weekend, so see you there. And everyone would go, yeah, bye, and they'd all go back to their work. So you do a week work, 2 weeks work, and then they'd all either drive through Europe or, whatever, and they'd all start congregating at the next comp, and it all starts again. It's the same people, the same family. And so you'd see the same pilots. You compete against the same pilots. And
how many pilots are we talking at that time?
Oh, still 100, still 100, 120s. And then they would generally be in the national team, selected for the national teams. So then you'd see them at the Worlds and the Europeans. So it was a real fact. You'd have mates that you'd always see.
Yeah.
You'd sit in an airport in the middle of Venezuela, Caracas, and then suddenly all these pilots would tell you, all right, should we share a bus? Yeah. And then it's a family traveling around the world. And it was brilliant. I remember one day I had to drive from Firebird, which is Germany, to Monte Carlo, where we were testing gliders. And I had to do that from a Sunday night. We finished the competition. Oh yeah, we finished in Bassano. Had to drive from there all the way across. And it was just a dawn drive, and the sun was coming up on the Mediterranean. I was going through the tunnels, coming to sunlight, and then you see all the coastline of the Riviera, and you think, my God! And I'm just about to go up to do 8 flights in a day, and that's my job.
What were your peers or your childhood friends? What were they doing with their lives at this time? Driving through Monte Carlo, and all your mates are still back in Keswick getting rained on, or up in Scotland getting. It was kind of life.
It was a great life, yeah.
Yeah, I
still just evolved.
Yeah. Similarly, when I was like 21, 22. I was a professional MMA fighter, so then I started coaching, and I was fighting all over the world or coaching all over the world. So, I got a phone call, and they're like, "Wes," it was a guy in London used to run a big show, Dave O'Donnell's name. It's like, "Wes, got a fight for you." I'm like, "Okay, like what is it?" He's like, "Tim Radcliffe, ranked number 1 in Europe at the time." I was like, "Yeah, I'm listening." He goes, "Oh, and it's in the Dominican Republic, and we'll pay you $5,000." I'm like, "Right." He goes, "You and one other cornerman." He said, 5 days, all expenses paid in the Hard Rock Cafe and Casino. I was like, "Dave, to be fair, mate, 5 days ain't a long time. Make it 7. He's like, "All right, 7 days then, mate." And I was like, I'd have done it for free. I'd have gone to the Dominican and fought anyone for a week's holiday, but now you're paying me. Like, this is amazing. And then you coach people, they get a fight in, say, Switzerland, in Sweden or Poland or India. And they're like, "Yeah, you've got to take a cornerman." I'm like, "I'm available." So similar, I mean, I was getting the same sort of experience as you, but getting punched in the face for my trouble as well. And you're doing it with paragliding, which seems a lot more like that. Your route seems better than mine.
Yeah, but you see, your equivalent of being punched in the face is us risking quite a lot. And you came into the sport when it's evolved, and a lot of people have learned through the hard way how to glider, design, and fly. So I think it's great to see the standard and quality of pilots now. The beginning, we were all still learning, and there was a huge amount of talent, but now there's a lot more information and things you can learn without having to do it yourself. So the exposure to risk is less, which is great.
I guess the sport saw lots of injuries and fatalities, which the sport learns from and grows.
Yeah.
So they're vital, and someone like myself benefits from all of that.
Exactly.
And someone like yourself had to go through it and be there. And even if it's not you the one who's getting injured, you're knowing people who are getting hurt, etc. And you're using that experience to grow the sport.
Yeah. I mean, look at, the development of competition wings. That's how, you're flying gliders. It's just safe, not prototypes. The way you can't do a Worlds unless the glider's been available, CCC gliders for 6 months, and everyone's got to be the right for everyone to have them, not just team pilots, things like that. All that has made people safer. Then in the development, talking to Russ, you'd have understood about the development and everything has made performance and safety, that curve very similar, which is great.
Yeah, because fundamentally it's a dangerous sport because you're off the ground. So anytime you leave the ground, it becomes inherently dangerous. But in the realms of danger, it's very safe as well, which is a reflection of just how much effort has been put into the safety of glider manufacture, research, and then onto what you've sort of, I'll use the word dedicated yourself to in safety in flight, just because it's probably what you're best known for widely. Everyone around the world knows who you are through your DVDs and stuff, and your SIV training. As someone who's been on your SIV course, I know how good a course it is. I know also you have that bit where you know which pilot should go with which instructor and who goes where, and you also leave a lot of pilots to make their own decisions and stuff as well, which is good, which I really liked. But what made you pursue that safety aspect? Was it something you enjoyed, or was it just that you saw that actually this is where we need to work on?
Well, I do love it. I still love it now, 30 years down the line. And I love instructing. I always have done that. So you get off on people's responses and reactions and learning and loving the same sport that you love. And there was a huge void at the very beginning of people understanding how gliders reacted and flew. And as testing, you learn that, when a glider does this, you need to react like that, or et cetera, et cetera. And that wasn't being imparted to the pilot, which is why we developed SIV, which is basically a test flight. If you look at Air Turquoise, any of the test flights, SIV is a bit of each one to show roles, your stability and glider control, and so it evolves from a test flight. And by doing a test flight, by collapsing a wing and understanding it, you get a lot of learning out from that, which is everyone understands that. And to see people benefit from it is immense. To see that reaction of, I was scared. It was a good sort of scared, but I went through it, I did it, and I learned, and I feel more confident as a result. That's brilliant. And the more people that do it, the more people that benefit from it, the better, because it makes the whole sport safer. I mean, you look at the the Colombian, the Brit Winter Open. We had 120 or so pilots flying 100K tasks and taking off within 30 minutes on a tiny little launch. No accidents.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I mean, that is brilliant. And that's testament to the training and dedication of the pilots and the design of the gliders and the whole ethos of the way things are, which is great. In the old days, you'd expect, reserve deployment a day, something going. But now that's sort of evolved where pilots are. There is still risk. There are still accidents, but it's less and less now, which I think is brilliant. Doing SIV and get an understanding of their wing.
Yeah, and a lot of accidents are pilot error, and in that pilot error, there's always a lot of elements you can't eliminate. You can do as much safety training as you want, but if somebody's really dead got their head on, I'm getting in this thermal and I'm getting in, and the other person's, I'm getting in. You're going to get situations where those, not egos are wrong, but the drive to get in the climb is going to put the safety out of the window, which you can do as much safety training as you want then you're going to come down to pilot error because all your safety training is out the window. So
so that's different characters, different profiles. So if you've got a pilot that's like that, then they're dangerous to themselves and others. So soon they will be coached by their peers, their mentors. You know, look at the winter. We had a few pilots that were going the wrong way, disrespectful. The minute, there's a process of in-flight pilots saying something, which is brilliant. So it's immediate. They can control that immediately. And also post-flight, they can come up to the meet directors and say, this pilot at this time did this, and we can see it on the track logs. It's fantastic, and it's not a penalizing process. It's a learning process. You know, we bring that pilot up. We say, look what you just did. Don't deny it. We can see this happened. You know, we're flagging it up. We're watching you, and they think, well, crap, you know, and they learn from it, and they don't make that mistake, or they make less mistake. So they improve their understanding, respect, and safety for themselves and others, which I think is great. Where that now is fantastic for that. And you know, obviously you get aggression and arrogance and competitiveness, and you've got to learn well.
There's some people can never be coached out of that though. I mean, that's like with my sport. If you've got that, we get the guys who come who they're the hardest person in their pub and they want to come training, and then the little 16-year-old who weighs 10 stone is punching them around the gym. And you learn really quickly in my sport that if you're arrogant, you're obnoxious, and you think you're the bollocks, someone's going to educate you a little bit. In this sport, like some people you just can't. Some people have to educate themselves as well. You can give them all the right pointers, but eventually you've got to say, you're going to have to learn. And that might be that you're not as welcomed. You're going to be the guy on the periphery when everyone's having a great time. Everyone's talking as a pilot, because I think there's going to be lots of people who listen to this who don't comp fly or haven't comp flown.
Yep.
And they won't realise just how much of a social scene there is on the comp scene. And how lots of people from all around the world really just want to talk to you, and they're there to have a good time. It's lots of people's holidays. They're not just there because they want to win a race. They're there because it's their holiday as well. And so you're going to be on the periphery quite quickly if you're the guy who's making these mistakes and refusing to learn from them.
Yeah, definitely. But I think flying is a great leveler as well, because that person's clearly lying to themselves, boosted by their own ego, arrogance, whatever you call it. But flying is a great leveler. They can't lie, and you can bullshit, but it always comes out in the end, and that's what I love about paragliding as well as any outdoors sport. It strips that. It makes all decent people honest. You know, you're not going to learn. You're not going to move forwards unless you're honest with yourself, and very quickly people learn that. So they might come in that blustering, I'm the big I am, but they'll soon, you know, curve their edges and get their respect for their glider, the conditions and things like that, and come into line. You know, but the key is welcoming them, just like in the cage, I guess. Just welcome them into the world and let them learn the way. Otherwise, they're going to be punched or they have a crash. One of the two.
Yeah.
Inclusive. You've got to be inclusive, because otherwise they think we're a tosser.
Yeah, you become the bad guy. Exactly. Yeah. What you say about it being a paragliding being a leveler, what I love about it is that it comes down to it basically. Even if you're just going out XC flying with mates, or if you're in a comp, what it comes down to at the end of the day is if you make a mistake, you're exposed. And that is, I've been in comps and Russ, the world #1, is fucked up. He's on the deck and I'm flying over the top of him. And you're like, in the practice task, and you speak to him afterwards, like, well, that was fucking stupid, wasn't it? What did I do that for? And I just love that you make one ballsy decision or you make one mistake and you're the guy who's, you know, I've done it before, mate. I've taken off, I've landed, everyone else taken off behind me. I've watched everyone climb out of Froster and I've had to bag my stuff up and go home. It's just, that's the great thing about it. You know, it's a great level.
You learn from your successes. And the great thing is, a good pilot, you would not see kicking a helmet around a field or anything like that. You might temporarily, but the next day or the next time on takeoff, they'll be normal. They'll say, yeah, I flew shit yesterday. Today, I'm not going to make that mistake, and I'm going to learn it, etc., etc. And they won't do that wedge of failure where they swing from one mistake to the next because they're. And the key is just learn from your mistakes, debrief yourself, move on. And good pilots are capable of doing that.
Yeah, if I have a guy who loses in the cage, a guy who I've coached, he might go out and he might lose his fight, and we'll go back to the changing rooms, and he'll come back and be like, "Oh, where's?" I'm like, "Shut up! Listen, your fight was 2 minutes ago. That was where it ended. It ended right there. Go home. I don't want to discuss the fight. I don't want to know what went wrong, what you think went right. We're not talking about it. Like, the fight's over. Tomorrow we can look at the fight, because when you're talking with all that, you've got all that emotion, all that passion, all that. I'm not interested. I know what went wrong because I'm the coach. You're not going to listen if I tell you what went wrong. You're not going to listen because you've got all the emotion of the fight. Go home. We'll discuss it next time. We can build on this in the future, but right now isn't the time. Sometimes you have to just let things go for a minute.
Yeah. Let them kick the helmet around the field.
Exactly.
Wait for their heart rate to drop.
Yeah. Mate, so one question that I always thought appropriate for yourself is, when do you think pilots should do SIV? Do you think that there's because lots of people kick around an hourly time for me, and I don't like the use of hours as a gauge of experience. So people will say X amount of hours, and I'm like, but if all those hours have been spent soaring on the coast, you've done no thermaling or anything, you're nowhere near as experienced with someone with half the hours who's been climbing up to cloud base and floating around. So I wondered what you thought the best time for SIV was.
It's when you feel you want to do it personally, and that's irrespective of hours. And also when the glider's holding you back, when you feel, there's more to learn, there's more I need to learn about the glider, the conditions, in order to move forwards. That's when you should do it. And that comes at different stages of people's development through paragliding. So it might come in the first 5 hours. They might think, you know what, I just want to learn. And that sort of character profile is a sort of person that would soak up the information like a sponge, react to exactly what you're saying, and learn from it. So you have to respect different character profiles. So we do have a sort of minimum, but there is none. It's about your frame of mind. It's about where you are in your head. And to the other end of the scale, you can have a pilot that's been flying for 1,000 hours and says, "Oh, I ought to do one." And it goes in reluctantly. He's already got instant motor skills. So he's not even listening to you. When you say right brake, he's not even listening. His brain's already pulled left because that's what he's learned. So it's actually better to do a course early when you're a blank canvas and you respond just to instruction. And as a result, from that instruction, and then what we do is say, right, every maneuver is done in your own time at the end. So in your own time means in total silence. So you're learning yourself how to get it into and out of the maneuver. And that goes deep. That goes instinctive. That goes to your piloting skill, not responding to brake, left, right. That you're doing nothing apart from responding. But what we do is introduce you, and then you do it yourself. And that can come at any stage. It depends on where you are in your head. And what can happen is if a pilot says, "Yeah, I'm really, really ready," and they come on a course and their reactions aren't right, or they're not enjoying it, their performance curve is tipped, then we back off the training and we turn it more to pilotage, more to control, more to understanding subtlety of the wing as much as everything else. And every course, although there's a standard course, every flight is one-to-one. It's between the SIV instructor and the pilot, and we can change it. As long as they're not introducing new things in the air, you can change it to suit the pilot, to suit their skill set. So yeah, it's all about when the pilot feels they're ready, rather than an hourly or you must do it by then. But if you're going to fly in thermic conditions, if you want to fly cross country, then yes, you should do an SIV.
I mean, I have these discussions a lot, especially within the local Avon group. I've done a couple of talks about it. We lost a couple of pilots and stuff, and I've done some safety talks and stuff. And I say to people like, yeah, but I'm not going cross country, so I don't really feel like I need it. I'm like, are you thermal in? And they say like, yeah. I'm like, so if you get a collapse and there's a pilot below you and a thermal, you have an onus to know that you can take care of that, or at least avoid falling through the pilot below you, right? And you see their mind changes a bit then. And like I say to them, SIV is not just something for XC pilots, because they're the ones who are putting themselves in the most like the moment you play with thermic air, you're in as much possibility, because realistically you're probably gonna spend more. If you spend 2 hours ridge shoring and climbing to base and messing around, you'll probably be in more thermals in a day than I will be on a long XC flight.
Yeah, exactly.
I climb to base, I glide as far as I can. I climb to base, I glide. So in 100k, you might only do 6 thermals, you know?
Yeah, and fly with no people.
Exactly, yeah.
Site in thermic conditions, you're flying with 30 people. And, that's even more potentially dangerous than anything else. It is, the risk to yourself and the risk to others. And you do, as you say, have a duty to protect other people. And by you being able to control a glider, you're then able to protect others.
Yeah, exactly. And I say, like, my way of summing up SIV, and you may disagree, and I'd like to know if you did, is I say SIV isn't about making you safe. It's about making you understand what's going on. So your reactions that you gain from understanding what's going on is where the safety comes in. But understanding what the wing's doing. I mean, the amount of times now I'll get a collapse of like asymmetric. I won't even need to look at it. I can just feel I've reacted. I make sure my heading's good, and then I look up to clear the little cravat or something.
Yeah.
Just because I know. And people, oh yeah, but you're good. It's nothing about doing a good pilot. That's happened a lot. So
SIV teaches you prevention as the cure, not react.
Exactly.
That prevention of instantly weight shifting, instantly controlling, and then dealing with it is, we say instinctive is an easy word to say, but you learn instinct. And one way of introducing that learning phase is to do SIV, because then it shows you, oh, right, that's what it feels like, that's what it does. And therefore you become more and more instinct. It's the same as active flying. People don't understand active flying. They think, well, as you fly actively. So what does that mean? Your body movement, your hand movements. And, we're flying, moving our hands, our bodies, reacting to the wing, and the wing's not even, it's for someone looking at the ground, it's just flying like that, where it isn't. The pilot's reacting and preventing or using it. So if it gently dives, they use that dive to turn tighter, and using situations to their advantage. So it's understanding the subtlety. SIV, it does, there are tick boxes, there are maneuvers you do, but there's secondary learning from all these activities are what people should understand and take home more than the actual primary learning.
Yeah, and also, so I'm not going to get too deep into this, but the neurosynapses in the brain are being trained every time you do that, and you can watch 100 videos of it happening, and you can talk about asymmetrics and stuff, and you say, oh, I had a couple of asymmetrics while I was flying. It's like your brain needs to create neural pathways that respond to what's happening, and the only way you do that is to go through it more. So, and people do, like, that's the way the human body develops and learns. So that's not even a theory. That's the way it is. So doing that more is obviously the better. And it shocks me how much negativity I get come back about SIV. The amount of people who say, like, yeah, well, I've been flying for X amount of time. SIV can't compensate for that. I'm like, but it's not trying to. Like, they're like,
it's complementing it.
Exactly.
It's a lot of people's fear of failure, fear of a lot of the pilots have flown a long time and I don't need to do one now. It's quite a lot of the psychology of fear of failure, fear of the unknown. The minute they do it, they realize, oh, okay. They learn from it and they move on, and they're not under pressure to do the maneuvers. A lot of people won't do one because they think they have to do a stall, or you don't have to. But when you do, you'll realize how all right they are, and there's various techniques to making them even more all right. But it's that getting over that hurdle, and they do. Any pilots that do them, as will always benefit from them. wherever you go, because all instructors, they have different ways of teaching, but the message is the same.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. Your 75-hour pilot who's just started doing some XC, and your 1,000-hour pilot who's an XC guru. Like, this guy at 75 hours doing an SOV is not going to make him the 1,000-hour pilot. But when the 1,000-hour pilot gets that big collapse, he's going to wish he had the training that the 75-hour pilot had, because, and it's like, well, I've been flying for X amount of years. I've never had anything really go wrong. No, but let's not wait until it goes wrong until we realise we need to know how to fix it. So it does, and I mean, it just takes me back a little bit that people are like, well, I mean, just do one then and see.
You don't have to do it all.
Yeah, just do one. I mean, I'm obsessed with it. I love it. I've done 4 SIVs because, and I do them annually if I can, because I really enjoy it, you know. And my last one I did was at Flyo. I did something like 35 stalls in 2 days on Ice Peak 6, North Ice Peak 6. So like 35 stalls in 2 days, and that was only because one day we only had 2 runs, so I couldn't do as many. And on the last stall, Fabian's like, "Where's you're okay? You're on your own, mate. Just do dynamic full stall for me, please, mate. Rapid exit dynamic." I've never got in such a mess in all my life. I've done 35 in 2 days. I've never got in such a mess. And I've got the video of me I'm twisted, rotated, and I'm laughing because I fucked it up so much. And I exit, I catch the surge, and he came over the radio and he's like, "Wes, what the fuck is that, man?" I was like, just that quick second, it just got away from me. I don't know what happened, you know? And that was after I was probably just exhausted and a bit tired. But even though I'd done so many, it got away from me, I lost it. But I was relaxed enough to still know, I know where the glider is, I know I'm twisted, I know how it's behaving, and I know where my reserve is if I need it. Yeah. At no point was I like, oh, well, you know, I was just a bit relaxed. And that's all just not because I'm good, it's because I'd done 35 stalls in 2 days.
Yeah, exactly. Repetition. Yeah.
Repetition. I mean, I remember a stall that I did with you in Turkey. It was the windy day, and I was the only one who flew. And I came over the box. We were doing stalls. Yeah, Wes, you can do another one. So another full stall. And then you came over the radio and went, "Wes, do you think you're going to make it back to the beach?" And I was like, "That's what I paid you for, get me back to the beach." I just made it in nice and low. So, yeah, it was a good day. So now you've getting away from the safety side of stuff. Your involvement with the BPRA and the British team and stuff now, mate. You're quite heavily involved with the British team now, aren't you?
Yes, British team manager now.
There we go.
Which is a great title, and one that you relish and take honour from, and you want to do a great job for the British pilots, everyone. So it goes. I think we're representing every club flyer when we go and do a comp, and it's important that we give it 100%. There's no point being there if you don't. So, it was really enjoyable. The first major comp I did was the Worlds. Learned a great deal, and we'll continue to learn. But the great thing is the coaching. It takes a long time. It's minimum 3 years. And you learn from each other. Although the selection is only based on position, you are flying with a squad that gently changes. So everyone must know the way each other works and respect each individual for the way the style they fly. And the key is coaching, getting the best out of that.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, this is one of the good things about team selection. It's not who you know, or well, Guy's been flying longer, so Guy's definitely going to get a place. There's none of that rubbish. It's based on your ranking, right? It's how you get a selection into the team. Yeah. And it takes. Is it the top 4?
It depends on the competition. So it could be 4 and 1. So 4 of one sex, 1 of another, or 5 and 1, or whatever. 6 and 2 depends on the comp.
Yeah,
and we go by the competition, right? This is a 4 and 1, so the Europeans is coming up, and so we've selected a squad 4 and 1 from the top. So you say, right, the top 4 are these. So you invite them first, and then, for example, Russ was able to do it because he's got the points, but he said, no, I'm going to give my place to the next person because I want them to learn from the Europeans. It's not as important to me. So then we say, okay, next one down, you're invited. Then they might say, well, actually, as Sebastian did, say, well, actually, as Russ did, let's give the place to someone else. So they gently bump up until we've got the top 4.
Yeah, so basically, there's lots of people out there, maybe younger pilots, maybe slightly older, but still want to do comp flying, and they're like, yeah, but I'm never going to be in the top 2 or 3 pilots, and you just aim to just do as good as you can. If you're in the top 10, there's a possibility you'll get a shot, and also to be in the top 10, you're going to have to do the comps, and the more comps you do, the more experience you're going to get. Yeah. Which, I mean, you just got to look at Martin Long is the guy who sticks out massively for me. Definitely. He, like, from nowhere, because we've got some, I mean, obviously Theo you can't, is an exception. He's just been doing it from so young, and he's so good at it. And then you've got Seb, who's absolutely amazing. But someone like Martin sort of came from nowhere. He sort of got into comp scene, liked it, and then put everything he could into going to as many comps as he could. And then look at him now.
Yeah. I mean, Martin is great. I mean, but that's the same as you, because he takes what he's learned from his other competition sports that he's learned from. He's applied that same model to this, and he's done so well. He's got natural talent. He knows how to learn. He knows how to respond, and he gets a lot from people. He gets a lot, which is a great role model, actually, and he's a good inspiration. But what flying is about is that social aspect you talked about, and it's also knowing that you might not be selected for the world's team, but you'd be in a squad. Now that squad then will train you. So the BHPA will invest in you. So we'll sponsor you going to an SIV course with the 2-liners, with competition flying, with people like Russ, Guy and Barney and Malin. You know, these are really experienced pilots sharing their information. So you get these training camps, you get various coaching opportunities that will then get you ready for the following year and the following year, so that you'll generally be in a position where you get more and more positioned positively and then go for selection, for example. But that whole process is an inclusive learning process. And you yourself has benefited from the BPRA courses and training. And therefore, by doing them, you share it with the people you're doing it with and also your coaches. And then those coaches become your fellow competitors at a competition. And so you become more and more relaxed, more and more used to taking in the information and competing with people that before you thought, oh my God, I'll never compete against them. But now they're equals. And you learn from that. And you get better as a result.
Harry winning the Brits is a perfect example. You know, like just from early. I mean, he's been flying the same amount of time as me, maybe a year longer. But just it's from early on, entered the comp scene, got into it, and just fully immersed himself in the comp scene. And now, I mean, everybody, if anybody's got a question about points or about anything, Harry's the first person they go to because he knows it inside out, back to front. He's just obsessed with it. And you just see the progression and you see how well he flew. And this is another great thing I love about comp flying, is that it's not about winning all the races. It's just about being consistent.
Yeah.
And just to be that consistent is like, you can be third every single day and you're going to win the comp by a mile, because consistency is the reward in paragliding competitions, which I love. Because
take your chance if you see it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. Yeah, so that's what I really like, that aspect of paragliding, because it rewards the people who consistently put in the work and become more and more consistent.
Yeah, you gently go up.
Yeah, which I really like that, because you are rewarding the right aspects for me. Because being fast and being pushy, like Wayne Seeley, the way Wayne Seeley flies, you would think that's how a comp pilot should fly. Be fast. I mean, I don't know if you've ever flown XC with Wayne consistently.
And I've landed early with Wayne as well.
Exactly. I got told early on by Wayne. This is one of the first things Wayne ever said to me, because I was in excellent from an early start. So I've had a lot of guidance from Wayne. One of the first pieces of advice Wayne ever gave me was, "Don't ever follow me, bud. I just race myself to the ground." And he just like you would think the way that he flies or the way that Wagga flies, where they're gone, you're just trying to catch them all the time. You would think that that's I need to be like that, and then you get onto the comp scene and you see like it's not about making decisions all the time. Sometimes it's about just observing and yeah, which I love. I love that aspect of it. It's not about the ballsy one. It's not about the. Sometimes it is
a blend of all of them.
Yeah, exactly. Which I really enjoy that side of it. So, mate, the sad thing for me, the worst bit about this year is looking like the North-South Cup. I mean, is there a chance that it could be later on in the year if needed?
I think because the beauty of the North-South is its flexibility, and although May is looking impossible, if we could start flying and the weather starts to get good, then I wouldn't put it past us putting out a late North-South Cup, maybe September.
Perfect.
It could be a possibility. But I haven't talked to the guys about it. Whether we have a rest, I don't know. The same with the British Nationals. You know, we had a chat at the comps panel last night, and my personal feeling is that, well, we can't risk the expense and asking people to go to, locations where they have to get flights and expenditure. Why not keep it simple and stay in the UK? And if it's on, it's on. If it's off, we just can it, and everyone just stays at home and does their family thing. So it'd be quite good to maybe this year for the Nationals, for example, to say, right, well, let's just earmark end of August, September, and if it's on, we have a Nationals. If it's not, we don't. Same with the North-South Cup.
Yeah.
For this year, it's written off, so you might as well just get together, share some airtime together, and have some fun.
Mate, everyone's going to be there. It's not going to be like last year. Everyone's going to be there because they've got no comp flying. So, I mean, I think if you said, like, listen, we're going to earmark it for the month of the last 2 weeks of July, up until like the end of August, we're going to earmark that any weekend we could slot the North-South Cup in, just be ready to go. Pilots will be like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, let's do it. Let's have that.
Yeah, we'll get a minimum of 20. And
yeah,
I think so. Definitely.
I mean, it's one of my favourite times to fly. I love the calamity of it. I love everything about it. Where were we when we couldn't get up to the hill and I went in the carpet shop and got the guy to get his van out? Where in Wales? Oh, what's the name of the place in Wales? The
Bilf Wales one.
No, it was no, we flew.
Llangollen.
Yeah, Llangollen, that's it. Yeah, so from Llangollen, and the coach, we were all on the coach and we couldn't get up there, and we were like, well, what now? And then everyone was just out the truck arranging something. I love that side of it, the calamity side of it, and then I love the when we all flew from Wales, Hay Bluff, and we all crossed the Channel together, massive gaggle.
Yeah, I like the Wayne then.
And then the one in the Lake District last year, mate.
Yeah.
Just all week I was thinking this is going to be horrendous. We're going up for a piss up, and then we get here, and it was just how good were the conditions?
I was so proud of the North-South Cup. That flight. That was just to do that flight is quite rare, and to have the opportunity to do it with such good pilots, with such a good attitude. You can have competition pilots that are arrogant and just comps point. But the North-South Cup is about skill and it's about having fun. And to share this, my favourite place in the world, with my favourite people, was just the best day ever. And to all of us to be over Scafell, and most people thinking, well, what's this hill then? So that's the highest mountain in England. Right, well, I'm based now, so I'm off. And it's fantastic to see. And then I have this photograph of all the trace, all the pilots, and it is just, I look at it and think, wow, what a day. It
was incredible. Yeah, that's it was a Sunday, wasn't it? The Sunday was the triangle day. Yeah, that Sunday was just being sucked into cloud and just like being so high above everything, and it just be absolutely amazing. But then to get those those conditions as well, where the wind was coming different, so you had to be on it a little bit. It was just, I tell people about it all the time. I say to people, when I talk to them, have you flown the Lake District? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh, you've not even flown if you haven't flown the Lake District.
Barney hates it. Barney used to do a lot of flying in the lakes with Mike Cav, and he always says it's the hardest place to fly because of the valley winds, because of the sea breeze influence, because of different things. You know, you have to really think a lot, and that's why when I set the turn point to Scarfell, but we knew that the sea breeze, if it came in and pilots were late, they'd be in trouble. So it was testament to the skill that everyone arrived and had gone before the sea breeze came in. And the great thing is, those pilots that were slow knew their skill set and knew it's too risky to go there, so I'm turning now. And it's about knowing your limits and operating within them, which is again testament to the attitude of the people from the North-South Cup.
Yeah, and just the radio, talking on the radio, and it being like informal. I love it. The North-South Cup's one of my favorite times of the year. Mate.
True.
Yeah. So what about with you now at the moment? You doing any mountain rescue? You're involved in the mountain rescue, yeah?
Yeah, I do mountain rescue and first responders for the ambulance service. So we're just this mountain rescue is very quiet. We don't do anything really because not many people are on the hills. We had one call out a couple of weeks ago at the beginning, but not.
What's that like compared to average though? To an average year, what would that be like? How often
we do about 130 call outs a year.
Wow.
So one every 3 days. Or 120, so it fluctuates between 100 and 120, 130 sort of thing. And first responders is about the same, probably more. So, but that's more urban. So that's for the ambulance. So it's different. They're two different things.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm stood up as volunteer for the ambulance and the first responders. But again, it's quite quiet because everyone's ready, got everything ready in place. But because the British public are stoically doing the right thing, then it's all very calm. Everyone's. Yeah. I was talking to Andy, one of the paramedics at the North Ambulance, this morning, and he was saying, "Yeah, it's calm. There's very little happening. There's very little accidents. Road traffic accidents because there's no cars, and so it's all very calm because everyone's doing the right thing. It's really quite reassuring."
Yeah, I mean, even
now is people with cancer, people with treatment that they need sorting, should be prioritised now. Everyone's been focusing on COVID and all that and neglecting the people that need help. So now they should refocus and retask.
Yeah, well, the government said yesterday, didn't they? They said, listen, the NHS is still here. Like, still, if you need us,
still operating. Yeah,
come to us if you need us. Don't make silly decisions. We're still your NHS. Come to us. And I think it's fantastic that on the grand scale. I mean, if you go on Facebook, you'd be thinking that around every corner is a group of 50 people, but in reality, most people are conforming, and even too much so now, in that people are avoiding going to hospital for things they should be.
Yeah, this is a problem that we're seeing. The calls we're getting from the ambulance service is quite often people that felt that they didn't want to cause any trouble, and it's like, no, call, don't sit there in agony. Yeah. And the message has to go out that don't be afraid to, if you've got a chest pain or anything like that, say so.
Yeah, that's why we've got more first responders, is to allow people like yourself to still use the NHS. So it's I think hopefully we're going to start to see it peter down. Hopefully we're going in the right direction, and hopefully the lid doesn't get lifted off too quickly, and we can.
That's the problem. Secondary.
Yeah, people just get too restless, and I said this last night. Listen, all we're giving up at the moment is a little bit of our freedoms, a little bit of our social time. The moment we act too soon, we have to assume the worst, or we can't go back from the consequences if they are the worst. So, stick with it.
Stay safe.
Exactly, mate. Listen, thank you very much for this. I absolutely love talking to you, mate. It's great, and I'm sure people are going to love to hear this. So, anything any shout out you want to say? Anything you want to tell? Direct people to anywhere?
No, all good. Just enjoy being with your family and friends, and see you on the hill when it gets flyable.
Lovely job, mate. I'll cut this off. Stay on there, and I'll say goodbye to you personally. But thank you very much, mate.
Bye, everyone.